Hi, I'm Caleb Russell, and on behalf of my Data Communication Systems class under Dr. Jinkyu Lee, I'd like to present the concept of virtual desktop infrastructure this evening. And this concept actually even dates back way to the 1960s when IBM had these large mainframe computers, and they wanted to be able to separate different use cases without interrupting the different employees. So let's see how it's evolved since then. Well, why should you use a VDI? You can simulate a different computing environment. Maybe your business has improved work from home capabilities you're trying to explore, especially during this COVID year. We don't all want to be in the office together. Let's see if we can work from home and uninterrupted. And you can actually create and manage the business network for compliance just the same for the most part. And you can also use some cross-platform capabilities on VDI, and we'll explore these. I'd like to cover three different categories of the VDI concept today. There's the virtual machine, remote desktop virtualization, and emulation. Virtual machines would be a software whenever you're actually logged into your Windows computer, for example. Well, Oracle, who develops Java and some databasing software, they also develop VirtualBox and update it often. And VirtualBox allows you to run a different operating system environment inside of your computer. So let's imagine that you have Google Chrome pulled up and you're looking at some online documentation for a software, but you also don't want to run over to your Linux machine or you don't have one. You can use VirtualBox to run Ubuntu inside of your Windows computer, uninterrupted, although there are some slight computer science differences with this. You can have a small computer inside of your computer. This is very convenient for productivity. And along with this, your virtual environment, you can actually tell it to freeze whenever you're not ready to use it anymore. You can just pretend that this computer that you're simulating is always on, but tell Windows that you're not using it anymore and it will persist between your use. That's an option. And of course, you can emulate some different operating systems without buying the new device. Another example of this would be the Parallels software, which is very popular for Mac OS users to simulate a Windows program. We also have remote desktop virtualization, which I briefly covered earlier. I actually use a thin client device as described. Whenever I'm not working in my office here and I'm at home, I use this weaker computer. It's only about $75 actually, and it uses only the internet and display output. And with these capabilities, I can connect to my firewall at home, which is configured by my organization, my employer, and it connects to my computer in my office uninterrupted, and I work just the same. The lag is very minimal, and I don't have to worry about any sort of interruption. I can work away from the office via the internet, especially during these COVID days, to be away from coworkers and avoid the virus. And I can also troubleshoot someone's computer if they're able to host me using a software. And of course, this is protected using a password. So for the most part, in practice, we don't have some random people connecting to our computer. So now the implications are just endless. We can have a team in Malaysia to save on our wages, and although they're being paid quite fairly, they're able to work at different hours as they wish and work with our team. As for emulation, we can describe if there is a constant or intermittent control between simulating the desktop environment. We can persist it, we can always have it running, or we can freeze it whenever we're telling it that we don't want to have it working right now. If we're wanting to use our full computing power, we can tell the VDI, hey, I don't want to be using you right now, shut it off for later and put it away. However, there are some computer science differences within the code and how a VDI works. For example, the MAC address, which is important in identifying a computer uniquely, it will usually show that this environment is a virtual environment. So, some cleverly designed viruses that detect that you are on a virtual machine trying to see how it works, they'll actually misbehave and they won't reveal that they are a virus. And they'll only actually act maliciously when they realize that they're on someone's like native computer instead of a virtual machine. So there are some sneaky arms races going on between this. And to continue upon this, there are some crimes going on with VDI. There's such a concept as an RDP shop, a remote desktop protocol shop. Unfortunately, within the world, some people are taking advantage of exploits within virtual desktop infrastructure, and there's an ongoing list in some criminal forums of compromised computers that can be accessed. These will connect to botnets, which would be maybe millions of computers that are simulated or stolen access to while they realize the users aren't in control of them. And these millions of computers will be used together in tandem to guess people's passwords in the brute force attack or be used to purchase drugs on the behalf of someone else. So there's always developing security in VDI, and people should be aware of how they are used. Thank you so much for learning together about VDI with me. It was really a pleasure to cover how computers can even just be machines talking to each other. Thank you so much.